morning, team. We're going to start the March vlog today. I do not know what the rest of March is going to look like for me personally. There is some stuff going on at home. I'm going to Sydney next week for... Well, I will be working while I'm there. It's actually just going to go and see Mark, really is the whole point of the trip. But I'll be there for a few days, so I'll be working over there. I might get to see Delilah one. That'd be cool if we can go and have lunch. But I've just heard of a situation that's happened in Brisbane, so at my family home, so I may need to get to Brisbane as well, and the way to do that would basically mean I'm away from this home for like 20 something days, which I don't know, I'm not really keen for, but at the same time it may be the way to get all the things that I would like to get done. So potentially going to a funeral in Brisbane, but because it's the Easter, it's around Easter time, flights are super expensive, so I don't know what this month holds. So we're going to start the vlog now. I'm not finished any reads or starting any reads, but I'll introduce what I'm going to be reading for the vlog and then just take clips when I can. So for this vlog, I would like to read Reign and Ruin by J.D. Evans. This is the first book in the Mages of the Wheel series. I do not believe this is a completed series. I think it is ongoing, but there is 4 or 5 books out currently. I have the first 2 on audio, so I will be going the audio route for this one. I should actually start this one this week and probably get to 25%. So I'll continue doing that thing where I like read a couple of books and then just check in as I'm reading it. I am still reading Babel at the moment, which hopefully should be done this week. So for this vlog, I'll be reading a book called Sourwood by Logan Spurgeon. This is a relatively short folk horror, which I got on NetGalley. And I've only got 20 days to read it, so I do need to get a crack on with that. Luckily, Babel needs to be done by Sunday, so I can talk about it with Ryan on the podcast before I potentially go away and kick off all the stuff that is happening in the next little bit. I don't know whether I'll get a third read in. My next read after those 2 will be Blood of the Spear by Mark Timoney. Depending on what happens with all the movement, like I would love to do that one physically, but if I need to if I need to fly to Sydney and then fly from Sydney to Brisbane and spend like 10 days in Brisbane, I only have a backpack to I've only booked carry-on luggage, so sorry, throat noise. So I will only have a backpack to live out on, and that is a hefty book, so I may have to do that one on ebook. I'm unsure. We'll see how it goes, because I will also need to take both of my laptops, which isn't a lot of room for other stuff, except for like undies and, I don't know, 3 or 4 outfits that I can wash consistently over a little bit. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that is the plan for the vlog. If I read very quickly, I might throw in another one. I don't know. I am beta reading a story from a author of mine, like a beta read, and that I still have like 500 pages of that to go. So that'll have to come with me too, because that needs to be done by the end of March. And I'm really enjoying this book. I think for people who have enjoyed the young adult series, that it's a standalone, but I think if you read the young adult, I'm being vague here. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, so I am being very vague. If you've read the young adult series, which has one of the characters, which is a main character in the adult entry, you can read this as its own thing. But if you've read a young adult series, you are going to get a lot more out of it, in my opinion. So I'm really enjoying that. I've just hurt myself in the gym. I had to cut my workout short. This is after not working out for a few days because I hurt my wrist. So I think it is just a cardio week. That is it. We're just walking for the week, and we'll reconvene when all my muscles stop hurting. But for now, I need to go and bathe and get ready to go out. I'm taking Rachel out on a date today. We have not had a lot of time to spend together, so she has Wednesdays off. I asked my boss if I could take today off randomly, and I booked a little Japanese restaurant out on the south of the city, so we'll be going to do that. Hopefully our windscreen on the car just got fixed because I came out from work last week and there was like a huge crack through it, so that's been fun. But I got that fixed yesterday, so date today, looking forward to that, and then yeah, we'll see what happens from there. I will check in with you when I've done some form of reading. I've rearranged all my bookshelves, so I'll probably have it'll already be up by the time this comes out, but I need to do a bookshelf tour. So a bit of filming this afternoon and hopefully some reading. Yeah, I'll catch you whenever I have an update on those 2 things that I mentioned. Okay, bye. Hello team, it is now Saturday, the 14th of March. I forgot when I started this, but I'm 25% of the way through Reign and Ruin by J.D. Evans, and I'm quite liking this one more than I thought that I would with the way the story is going. So I'm a world building driven reader. Like first and foremost, that is what I appreciate, which is why I tend to gravitate towards like fantasy, because we get a lot of world building elements in fantasy stories. I'm not saying there is a lack of world building in this book, but it is very much about the people and the politics. So within the first 25% of the book, we're following two characters, Naime and Makram. So Naime is like a sultaness. She has gone through schooling with learning the magic of the wheel, and she's done her 4 years of schooling. She's now in her early 20s and she needs to be married off. So we're living in quite a patriarchal society where she needs to be married off to a sultan or prince who will be the next person in line for the throne, essentially. And we're sort of following her journey. She's sort of done her schooling and she's like, you know what, I don't really want to do that. I want to be the person in power. I want to be the next sultan. So she's made that decision. She has the backing of her father, but no backing from any of the other men, I'm gathering, within this particular world that she's in, and she needs to stall with these arranged marriages that she's being presented with these men who are next in line, who would then be the person next in line for the throne. So that's sort of her story at the moment. And then we have Makram. Maybe I'm butchering that pronunciation, and I apologize. Who he is from the sixth house, the sixth house of magic, which hasn't been outlawed, but it has been ostracized to a certain extent. And he says, maybe I can go and do some negotiations. So he goes to where Nahime is situated and is trying to insert himself and to have some conversations to say, hey, maybe we can negotiate and become allies again. And that's sort of where we're at the moment. Now, as I was sort of mentioning, like the world building is happening throughout the stories of the people. And I don't necessarily mind that so much, but I'm not getting as much world building as I would normally want in a fantasy. Now, that being said, this book is rather short in terms of like the epic fantasy that I read. I think it's only a 10-hour or so audiobook, or at least at the speed that I'm listening to it. So I'm not sure how much more we're going to get, but I'm enjoying it so far. I think the audio is adding a lot to the story itself at the moment, but I'm having a pretty decent time. I have also just finished my physical read, which means I'm ready, I am time. I'm ready to start reading Sourwood by Logan Spurgeon. I'm not really sure what to expect with that one, but it is a folk horror, and I have like 10 days to read it and review it for NetGalley. I have to go to Sydney at the end of this week. I'm hopefully going to go see Mark, which will be really cool. And then I've had a passing in like not my immediate family, but like a family friend. So I will be going from Sydney to Brisbane. So the next 10 days of my life from that point, so from the 21st, will be a bit chaotic. I'm hoping to have finished at least Sourwood. It's only a 200-page book, maybe 192 pages before we go. And then I'll just sort of get clips as I'm reading Reign and Ruin. But I'm enjoying that one quite a lot at the moment. Very people and politics driven. So world building is like one for me, and then politics is a second. So I think that is like intrigued me enough in here, and like I'm all here for women who are like, fuck the patriarchy, I really want to do this my way. And hell yeah, I'm here for Naime's story. But it is a fantasy comma romance, not fantasy romance. So we'll see when that element comes in. Like there is definitely like sparks happening between Nahime and Makram. So I don't know. I assume that's the romance because they are the two characters that we have. I feel like that's a relatively safe bet. We'll see. We'll see how that goes as I continue on. So those are some very early thoughts at the moment. I need to get back to work. I'm on a little break right now. But yeah, I will check in with you once I'm 25% of the way through Sourwood, or I'm 50% of the way through Reign and Ruin. G'day team, I am about 35% of the way through Sourwood. I was going to do it at like 25%, but because it's such a short book, I don't know. I read 35% of it yesterday, so here is when the check-in is. So this book is following Reed and Leighton as they go to a creepy old house called Ashfield Manor, where they are set to see their grandparents. And I actually really like the way this book started, which is with a much older Leighton who is like, I'm going to go see this house for the last time. And like, it's very clear that she has super negative connotations of the house and the experience that she had in there. And then chapter one starts with her and her brother, much younger, on their first instance in going into the house. And like Leighton introduces a story as being like, I'm going here for the second and last time because I'm done with this place. And then we like cut to the introduction to the house. So we're introduced to Reed and Leighton. So Reed is the older brother. He's trying desperately to look after his sister after the death of their parents, and he has some questions for the grandparents. So the grandparents reach out to him and say, hey, we want to give you an inheritance sort of while we're still here, but you need to come to the house to do that. And then we enter this creepy house, and like you get a good sense of Reed's family obligation to Leighton being the older brother and wanting to make sure that she is able to go to school and get an education, whereas he is just like trying desperately to make ends meet, working multiple jobs to take care of her. Now, it's unclear at this point just how much younger Leighton is. I'm guessing college age. I don't read her as particularly young. Like, I don't read her as a high schooler, but maybe she is. I'm not sure. Whereas Reed reads like he's in his like early to mid 20s, just trying to get Leighton through like the schooling that she's currently doing. Maybe she's in high school. I don't know. I don't read her particularly young, but potentially she is. And I will say that the author is doing quite a good job of building atmosphere. I don't love it, like, but I'm having a good time. That's an oxymoron. I like it's not wowing me, but I'm enjoying it enough for what it is. It's a short horror story. I don't particularly love haunted houses, so the atmosphere of like the property and the grounds is good enough to keep me intrigued. The language is quite simple for the story, and I'm finding a little bit of repetition in like phrasing and the structure of sentences, which isn't my favorite, but like it's fine for what it is. I think it'll end up being about a 3-star read if I'm predicting it. Very quick to read, like every time I pick it up, like I'm getting 10% done. That could also just be because it's a very, very short book. I predict I will finish this one before the end of the week before I have to fly to Sydney. So, and then I don't know what I'm going to pick up from there. Mark's let me know that he's a little bit delayed in his next sort of bit of writing, so I don't want to pick up Blood of the Spear too soon because I don't want to forget things for that. So I may push that to like very early April, which means I've got sort of a free slot. Curse the Mist Wraith, I would love to. My brain is not in a headspace where I can take on like something real dense, so I think I'm just gonna have to lean into a little bit of mood reading, and we'll see what happens there. I'm still listening to Rain and Ruin by J.D. Evans. I'm not much further in that, so I'll wait to give you an update on that one. But I predict I will maybe not finish it, but be almost done by the time I go to Sydney. So I think that I will finish it while I'm in Sydney. But yeah, that is the update for now. I'll let you know when I have more. G'day team, it is Wednesday the 18th. I am back from work, we've had tea, dogs are resting over there, and I am checking in about Sourwood by Logan Spurgeon. So I am now 65% of the way through, maybe 70% of the way through. I think 70% of the way through now. This book is, I don't know, maybe it's just me and like NetGalley arcs. I am not hating it. Again, it's not something that I've actively disliked by any means. I think the setup initially though, like the atmosphere build up got me excited about the book, and like the creepy house and the creepy grounds and these trees, the sourwood trees, and like this weird vibe from the grandparents that have called Reed and Leighton into the house. And it just hasn't delivered exactly what I was looking for or exactly what I expected from the setup. So now I'm about 70% of the way through. I don't want to give spoilers away here, but it's a 200-page book, and I feel like there could have been more build up to the atmosphere. So they've been in this creepy house. Leighton is not feeling it. She is like, something is super weird here. Not about it. Want to get out of here. And then Reed's gone, oh, actually, we kind of need to be here because I need the inheritance. I'm in a lot of debt. And she's like, fine, I'll play nice with a grandmother who seems to hate my guts. I like the creepiness of the grandmother, and I think the author has done a good job with the tension between the grandma and Leighton in particular to see that something weird is happening there and Reed is not seeing it. Also done a pretty decent job of Reed not just being sucked in and like drinking the Kool-Aid, or in this instance, Sourwood tea. But there's also some weird tropey things in here which I don't know quite fit or didn't have enough time to cook, in my opinion. So we kind of have like almost a vampiric sort of thing happening here with Reed. We have people who the grandmother keeps talking about. Grandmother's name is Violet, and she keeps talking about them, but then we never see them, and they just never turn up, to the point where our characters are like, do they exist? Question mark. But then things are happening, so maybe somebody exists here. And I don't really know how else to explain it, but that outside of that, the atmosphere is really cool. The build-up was promising, but it's not delivering exactly what I was expecting it to do. And I feel like certain aspects of the book are moving too fast, so it's not stewing. And I think where a lot of sort of, I guess, gothic or atmospheric horror, what those books, the ones that I've enjoyed, tend to do is they really sit in the discomfort, and you as the reader feel uncomfortable during the experience because we like linger a little bit too long in certain aspects, whether that be talking about people, whether we talk about particular parts of the environment that we're in. And this seems to be moving on quite quickly. And there are just like several things that have been done, which I've seen done in other horror books, but they're being done really quickly. So none of it has time to sort of simmer or get me uncomfortable. It's just get used to this new thing that is now happening. And that's what I'm missing. I'm missing the discomfort that I'm looking for in an atmospheric book. So there's that. I'll finish it the next couple of days, hopefully before I go to Sydney. I am like desperately trying to finish a beta read as well. That won't be done by the time I go to Sydney. I'll be doing it while I'm there and in Brisbane, but it needs to be done before the end of the month. So I'm trying to get as much of that done as I can. I am aiming for another 100 pages over the next 2 days, which will only leave me with about 250 to go. Audio wise, I'm still listening to Rain and Ruin. I should get to 50% of that tomorrow, so I will give you an update once I hit the 50% mark. Okay, team, it is Thursday, the 19th. Yeah, I think it was the 18th yesterday, which means it's the 19th today of March, and I'm 60% of the way through Rain and Ruin by J.D. Evans. I'll put the cover up here. This is a really interesting read for me because I certainly would not have gravitated towards this book at all if it wasn't for the fact that it comes so highly recommended as a self-pub book. If it hadn't had won Spiffbo, like, I love the covers. The art on this is absolutely stunning, but fantasy romance is not something that I would generally gravitate towards, and I'm trying to check my bias there a little bit. I'm having a more enjoyable time with this than I thought, but at the same time, I will still not gravitate towards these types of stories very often. That's the main thing. I just don't tend to love them. I don't tend to love the predictability of romance, and I like when it catches me off guard. I like when romance is in other things, and it can either be really cutesy, or I don't mind an enemies to lovers situation if it's in other things. With this one, the main characters, like, it's nice. Like, it's kind of tropey, but they respect each other. They're like not like other girls. He's not like other boys. It's a bit of that happening, and like I like the political machinations, but I can certainly understand now, 60% of the way through, how people like, if you want a fantasy romance that really splits those genres down the middle, and we have a political fantasy, but we also have a romance story, it is done a very good job of doing both of those things without compromising the other at all. So if you are looking for something that does both quite well, then this is a good recommendation for you. It's also like written quite well. It's very, very enjoyable, very easy to read. I don't hate any of the characters in here. Like the love interest is fine. I tend to just prefer when love interests are interests. It's the end of the day. I tend to prefer when like the romance is a little bit more gay and it's like painfully hetero in this story, or like just on the rainbow somewhere. Like I don't mind straight romances, but if like one of them is trans, I just prefer a little bit of rainbow sprinkled into the romances that I read, apparently. This is like very, very heterosexual. So if you're into that, also like slow burn, there's no smuttiness to it yet. At 60% of the way through, we're still like, forbidden love, we shouldn't really be together, but I'm very attracted to this person, and he is definitely the darkness to my light, and she is the lightness to my dark, and we complement each other so much, and like, oh, her head fits underneath my head situation. Anyway, I prefer that shit to be gay, just personally, and that is bisexuality in a nutshell for the folks playing at home. The story is intriguing, the political machinations. So we have the sixth mage of the wheel, the sixth house, which has sort of been ostracized because they're known as the mages of destruction. We have our main character, the sultaness. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or like have the right term there, but Naime, our main character, is wanting to be in power. She doesn't want to give that role to another man. She wants to take that power for herself because she believes herself to be a good leader, and she's proven herself in this book to be a good leader, and she doesn't want to give that role to somebody else. She's like, I can do this. I want to heal the wheel. At the moment, we've got two spokes on that wheel which are damaged, and I want to be able to complete that. And then I assume that happens at some point because lots of books in the series. But I'm having a pretty decent time with it. It's easy to read. I probably will finish this one, I'm going to say on Saturday on the flight, and then I'll probably check in with you at the hotel as like the last clip of this vlog, unless I just decide to do another book. I'm unsure. Yeah, that's it for the update on that one. Still reading Sourwood. I've only got like 30 pages to go, but I am desperately trying to get some beta reading done at the moment, and I've done 50 pages tonight, and I need to go and edit a video to go out next week because I'm not going to be here for a little bit. So that is the aim now for this evening. It's about 8 o'clock. We'll see if I can get it done today. I finally messaged someone that I've been meaning to message for ages about dates that were in the UK. So that's starting to happen. I still need to apply for a ETA. This year. What is this year, my friends? Anyway, that was a ramble. I am going to do other things now, so I will catch you when I have finished one of these books. G'day team, I'm running so late. I have to be in a car to go to the airport in like 40 minutes. And instead I've been finishing books this morning so I could finish this vlog before I went and talk about maybe what I'm going to read next. But I don't know. I'm not feeling anything, but at the same time I want to read everything. I know that I'm not the only person that has that problem, right? Someone tell me that I'm not. Anyway, I finished both Sourwood and Rain and Ruin. I finished Sourwood last night, and I finished Rain and Ruin this morning on the way to the gym and just cooking breakfast and getting ready for today. So Sourwood, we'll do that first because I only had about 30 pages of that left to go the last time that I did an update. This one, like it sort of crescendoed and came to an end very quickly. And my thoughts haven't really changed here. Like, I like the atmosphere of the book. I had trouble connecting to any of the characters. I think the plot points that the author was trying to pull together happened too quickly for the atmosphere of the book. I think personally, in my opinion, I've not written a folklore or a horror, but there's so much time spent building up this atmosphere, and then things happen really quickly. So it just feels like there wasn't really enough time to sit in the discomfort of that. And then the plot felt like it was going at such a fast pace once that atmosphere, like the author almost felt like it was like, we're done now. We're done with this, and now we're doing plot. And we're doing plot really fast. And it was like vampiric, like creepy house, lies that older people were telling them, like, oh yeah, there's totally a housekeeper, and the housekeeper just like never turns up. There was like a scene where we went into the town, and they're like, oh yeah, no, that's a really creepy house, and like people just like disappear and whatever. Like all of these little elements could have spent like another 10 to 20 pages. It wouldn't have needed to be like a huge amount of time, but like another couple of scenes just to build it up and then build up the ante for the crescendo and like the subsequent like ending of the book. I really liked the prologue and like the epilogue with Leighton. I thought that was done quite well, and like I wanted more of that feeling because it like promised a lot but then didn't deliver. I don't know, I ended up on a 3-star. I really should have got the friggin' thing, 'cause this is hurting my arm. I ended on a 3-star for that. I'm gonna go get the little stand thing, and then I will talk to you about Rain and Ruin. Okay, that's better. I have use of my hands. So Rain and Ruin, I finished that this morning. I had about 2.5 hours to go. So when I was walking the dogs, going to the gym, and like pottering around, I was finishing that. It's not a book that's not would be in my normal wheelhouse. I didn't hate it by any means. I ended up giving it a 4-star, just objectively. I think that, and I feel like I'm repeating myself from the last time that I spoke about the book. It's done a really good job. The author has done a very good job of going, I want to write a fantasy romance, but I don't want to compromise on either one of those genres. So it's a political fantasy where we're following Nahime, who is like a sultaness, but in her Tamir, is that what the place was called? Females can't rule, like they have to have a male ruler, so she's set to be married off. And she's like, I actually don't want to do that. And her father is in support of that, but her father's health is declining. So she sort of needs to set a lot of things in motion prior to him becoming so unwell that he can no longer support her. So she ends up writing to I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, to another town who they've sort of been ostracized. They're not in alliance, to say, hey, if we can get an alliance between the two of us, because you have a lot of like soldiers, you have more power when it comes to like a mercenary, whereas we have more magic. An alliance between the two of us would be quite beneficial. But if we can make that happen, maybe I would have more of a chance. So Makram, the other main character, the male main character, gets this note. The brother's like, absolutely not, we don't want an alliance with them. The brother's like, maybe we do. And he like pops on over to Tamir, wherever Nahime is from. And then there's like a lot of broody, protector, love things, very attracted to one another, and it's all very painfully like heteronormative. And he fits perfectly, and he's got really dark magic that's been forbidden, and people like run away from this death mage magic that he's got in the shadows. And she's light. Obviously, she's a light mage. But I didn't hate it. I did get frustrated at like the really overly romantic points in there, but that's a me thing, not necessarily a book thing, and I know that. I think if you like that sort of contrast where it's very sort of, we've got this, it was very like not like other boys and not like other girls with both of them. So we have a really intelligent air mage who refuses to conform to, and like good on her. I quite liked her as a character, Nahime, that is. She just refuses to conform to this like patriarchal society. She's like, I will not let a man rule here when I know I can do a better job. I've seen the gaps. I'm going to be a better ruler, and I objectively know that. So does my father. We also have like this, a lot of people pushing back against that and being quite gross and like manipulative, and just being like, no, women can't rule, or you in particular can't rule because my son needs to rule. He's trying to like get her to marry his son. And then we have Makram, who comes up and is like, I will bow the knee to you. I see your worth, and I will absolutely follow you. I do not need to be a leader. I'm happy to be someone who will just support you because I see what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to serving under a ruler who is competent. Anyway, so it's very clear from the get-go that these guys have attraction to one another. It's like a forbidden love situation. And yeah, like it does a good job of really walking that line between both genres. I appreciate it. I do not know if I'm going to go on to this sequel. I do have book 2 on audio, but I don't know when I will get to it. It wasn't unenjoyable. It's just not my thing. So I think if you do like your fantasy with romance, this is something that is genuinely worth giving a go, particularly if you like really slow, many pages worth of like romantic scenes, because I was like, speed up, let's go. I was like going to 3 times speed just to go, okay, I get it. You want to touch each other, just do it. So that I can get back to the politics, which is what I enjoy. And it was quite an interesting experience because I don't hate a little bit of romance in books. Like, it can be really sweet or it can be exciting. I don't mind enemies to lovers. Like, I know I'm so basic for that, but it can be exciting if it's inside of other books, like other genres, and it's not the main focus. So I think I don't hate romance if it's not the main focus. Or if I'm going to read a romance book, it's probably going to be queer of some variety. And I don't tend to mind that because maybe it's just closer to my lived experience. Yeah, anyway, so those are my thoughts on that. I don't know what I'm going to pick up next. I'm not feeling anything, but there's so many things that I want to read at the same time. I did download Dreams of the Dying on my books. I call it Books, and I've recently been told that it's not Books, and I think Books sounds cuter, so maybe I'll just continue calling it. But this is heavy, and I have to fly today, so I have an e-version of it. So I have downloaded this to see if potentially I might read it. I also have The Dead Zone by Stephen King, which is like, it's on my Stephen King TBR. It's like a beat up paperback. It fits in the backpack quite nicely, so I'm taking that with me. I do not know. I genuinely do not know what I'm going to be reading. In terms of audio, look, I don't tend to do a lot of audio when I'm traveling because my audio time is generally in the car or when I'm walking the dogs and going to the gym, and I don't do a lot of that while I'm traveling, so I have no idea when that will occur. I might just start book 3 of A Pattern of Shadow and Light, or A Pattern of Light and Shadow. I can never remember which way it is. I think it's Shadow and Light by Melissa McPhail, because that is going to be a book that I want to read in April, and then I want to get on to book 2 of the Memoirs of Lady Trent. So I know the Melissa McPhail book is quite long, so if I get any hours in it in the next 10 days, then that'd be great. If not, I'll just read it when I get back in April. But for now, I have to haul ass, and I think my bag is mostly packed. I just need to do like a check and get my charger, but I do need to go and shower and get a coffee, because I'm not going to survive this long ass day, and charge my phone so I can watch movies on the plane. Anyway, if you like the vlog, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.